Things are getting wild when the United States, the self-proclaimed world's policeman, suddenly decides it's time to strap up and save Africa. Again. But this time, it's Nigeria. Yes, the giant of Africa, the land of Jollof-4s, Afrobeats, and politicians who treat budget allocation like a buffet. Now the US says it's ready to go guns a-blazing to defend Christians from terrorists. Sounds heroic, right? Except, what's really going on? So the fireworks started when former US President Donald Trump, never one to use his Endor voice, declared that America should prepare to wipe out Islamic terrorists in Nigeria. Wipe out. You know, the kind of phrase that makes diplomats spill their coffee and generals start Googling flights to Abuja. Trump framed it as a mission to protect persecuted Christians. Noble cause, sure, but also politically spicy, because in Washington, religious freedom and foreign intervention often walk hand in hand right into someone else's country. But before you start packing MREs and waving flags, let's rewind a bit. Let's do a quick history lesson without the boring bits. Nigeria isn't exactly a stranger to chaos. Between Boko Haram, ISWAP, herder-farmer clashes, and politicians who argue over everything except fixing the power supply, there's been trouble brewing for decades. Boko Haram started as a religious movement in the early 2000s. Their brand? Western education is forbidden. And apparently, so is peace, electricity, and common sense. They've attacked schools, churches, mosques, markets, nobody's safe. The result? Tens of thousands dead, millions displaced. So yes, it's bad. But here's the plot twist. The violence in Nigeria isn't just Christians versus Muslims. It's about land, poverty, corruption, bad governance, and a sprinkle of geopolitics. So when America shows up saying, "We're here to help," Nigerians are like, "Help how? With drones or democracy lectures?" America is known to have the savior complex. It's their favorite hobby. Let's talk about America's favorite pastime: rescuing countries that never asked for rescue. From Iraq to Afghanistan, Libya to Syria, Uncle Sam has been on a world tour of fixing things by blowing them up first. Now, don't get me wrong, the US military can be a force for good. But sometimes their version of help feels like giving someone cough syrup when they ask for clean water. So when the US says we're going to tackle terrorists in Nigeria, it's hard not to raise an eyebrow or both. Because let's be honest, whenever oil, elections, or global influence are in the background, helping suddenly becomes a strategic investment. What about a little dive into religion, politics, and the perfect storm? Religion in Nigeria is a sensitive subject, like bringing up politics at a wedding. You've got roughly equal numbers of Muslims and Christians living side by side, often peacefully, until politics stirs the pot. And nothing gets US politicians' attention faster than a story that mixes Christians under attack with Islamic terrorism. It plays well in American media, it energizes religious voters, and it fits the good versus evil narrative like a glove. So Trump's statement wasn't just about Nigeria. It was about his audience back home. Evangelical voters who love the idea of a muscular America defending faith worldwide. Vote strong, pray harder, bomb smarter. Okay, maybe not that last part. Let's take a look at Nigeria's response. The giant says, "Easy there, cowboy." When the news hit, Abuja was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who said anything about invasion? Nigeria's government quickly responded saying, "Yes, we appreciate US assistance against terrorists. No, we're not signing up for Call of Duty West Africa edition." They reminded Washington that Nigeria is a sovereign nation. Translation, don't come here uninvited unless you want to meet the weather and our bureaucracy. What exactly are the real motives? Faith or resources? Now let's get real. Is this about religion or resources? Because Nigeria isn't just a hotbed of conflict. It's also sitting on one of Africa's largest oil reserves. You know what that means? When America says we care about freedom, sometimes they also care about what's under your soil. And there's another angle, China. While the US is talking about faith, China's been quietly signing infrastructure deals, building railways, and getting cozy with Nigeria. So maybe, just maybe, defending Christians is the polite version of defending influence. But what about the social media meltdown? The internet did what it does best: panic, meme, and theorize. On Nigerian Twitter, one user wrote, "If America invades, I hope they bring electricity." Another said, "Make them come, maybe fuel get cheap small." And of course, conspiracy threats exploded. America wants to recolonize Africa. Trump is fulfilling prophecy. Beyoncé warned us in Black is King. Okay, that last one's probably false. Probably. But it shows how quickly the story went from policy to parody. What an invasion would actually mean. Let's say, purely hypothetically, the US did invade. First off, Nigeria has one of the largest militaries in Africa. Second, the terrain isn't exactly parade ready. It's complex, vast, and unpredictable. Plus, Nigerians are fiercely proud of their independence. You think Lagos traffic is bad? Try navigating Nigerian nationalism. So, no, a US invasion wouldn't be a walk in the park. It'll be like trying to download peace on 2G network. Slow, frustrating, and probably doomed. If tensions rise, the ripple effects won't stop at Nigeria's borders. Neighboring countries rely on Nigeria's stability. It's the economic engine of West Africa. A US military move could spark anti-American sentiment, radicalize more youth, and destabilize trade routes. Remember Libya? Yeah, let's not do that again. Africa doesn't need another foreign war. It needs investment, accountability, and homegrown solutions, not imported firepower. So, what's really going on? At its core, this warning isn't really about Nigeria. It's about narrative. America's telling the world we're still the global sheriff. Nigeria's replying, "We got this, just send the funds, not the fighter jets." And between those two messages lies the truth. The fight against terrorism in Nigeria is real, messy, and deeply rooted. But it can't be solved with bombs alone. Because for every extremist with a gun, there's a community just trying to survive. For every foreign power with an agenda, there's a local family who just wants peace. So maybe the real solution isn't guns a-blazing. Maybe it's brains a-working. So what do you think? Is America gearing up to save the day or stirring the pot? Drop your theories in the comments. The spicier the better. If you found this fascinating, hit that like button like you're slapping sense into global politics. Subscribe for more bold, witty deep dives into the stories they don't want you to think too hard about. Because in a world full of headlines, sometimes you gotta read between the bullets.